What is going on, you stallions and stallionettes? AK-40 Kevin here in the gamer heaven. The Xbox Series S and X are about to get a whole heck of a lot more powerful thanks to developments in the developer kit. There's now going to be an open beta for Halo Infinite, so if you guys want to get a little sneak peek, the only caveat to that is you will be testing the game and reporting back bugs and glitches to the developer. And we have some release dates for upcoming Series S and X titles, so without further ado, let's crack right into this thing. Alrighty guys, sharing my screen here because I'll share just about anything with you guys. So, starting out on this page here, there is a Halo beta that you can sign up for now. I will have this linked in the description below. As anytime I do any kind of gaming news or mention anything, I do have my sources cited. Just like college, you got to have your reference, your citations in proper APA format, or else the YouTube community in your comment section will go buck wild and think you're making stuff up. So, it is down there, and this also does have information on how to sign up. You know, the only caveat to trying a alpha or beta game is that you're primarily there to report bugs and glitches back to the developer, but you do get to play the game a little bit early. Now, this isn't like a full release copy or anything like that. It is a beta, so a lot of you guys that play like Escape from Tarkov or something like that know that a beta can actually be really polished. Usually the alpha is what's kind of wonky and damn near unplayable. Then the beta is actually quite a bit more enjoyable, and it's kind of just to test the waters a little bit like they did with Cold War, to give people a sneak peek of the maps and how bad SBMM was and all that other good stuff. And then the beta is generally very, very close to the finished release product, just a little bit smoother and more massaged out when you get the actual consumer copy. So that's cool. We are going to have that. If you are a diehard Halo fan or you have a little extra time to play a beta, this will be linked in the description below for you guys. So the Xbox Series S and X are about to become quite a bit more powerful because, like I had mentioned in a previous video, with the Series S and X and the PS5, these are brand new consoles. They have a new architecture, new APU. The components in there communicate with each other different than previous generation consoles. As such, the developer kits were not really optimized to squeeze or wring out the maximum performance out of these things. So obviously, you look at like launch titles on the PS4 and Xbox One, in comparison to games that came at the end of the life cycle, like Ghost of Tsushima, and they look night and day. And this has been the case, you know, since, you know, the dawn of consoles, basically. You know, look at late release NES titles or Sega Genesis titles versus like what came on the console. Obviously, when game developers learn how to utilize the hardware through their developer kit or their programming or coding or whatever they're doing behind the scenes, it gets a whole heck of a lot better. So, this is a tweet here from Dealer. This is a Dictator at Digital Foundry. That's an aggressive name, the Dictator over here. People may be cracking jokes and slapping knees about the tools getting danker over here, but I've heard that the build performance has indeed increased over time since the Xbox Series X launch. Graphics processor unit compiler and stuff and shit and things can be pretty important for GPU performance. Yes, incredibly. The tools, I don't know why they put that in quotations, it literally is the developer tools, have already started to increase Xbox Series X GPU performance faster than expected. So this is good because the core components, the parts inside of the Series X, are about 15 to 20% more powerful, more horsepower under the shell than the PS5. However, it's pretty much a negligible, non-noticeable difference right now because PS5 was optimized a little bit better from the get-go. And two, I gotta say that Sony's kind of like Apple in this regard, and Xbox is kind of like Android. And let me explain. iPhones traditionally have substantially less RAM and weaker processors than Androids, but you get them side by side in like speed tests and just general browsing, it's pretty much negligible to the average user, to what the eye of the average consumer can see, because there's such good like RAM optimization in Apple's that they make do with 4 gigs what Android needs like 6 to 8 to 12 to do. So that's kind of how I feel here. Even though the PS5 has about 15-20% less juice in it, that juice is squirting in the right spots, and that way it runs games at pretty much the same frames per second and the same graphical fidelity as the Series X. And that really shouldn't be the case considering what's inside the Series X. So in the near future, the devs are going to be squeezing more horsepower, more frames per second, more shading, ray tracing textures out of the Series X, which is good because it is a flagship console for Microsoft that kind of prides themselves on being the most powerful console. Not saying one's better than the other. Obviously, you guys know my whole take on this. PlayStation, better exclusives, more revolutionary controller on the PS5. Also, this is subjective, but I think it's a better looking console. Then the Xbox Series X, most powerful console on the market. Then the Series S, best value in gaming. You link a $300 console that still gets you the SSD and the 120 frames per second at 1440. Link that with Game Pass for $10 a month, or $15 a month if you get the Ultimate, where you have PC support. And you basically have a new gen experience for pretty inexpensive. So that's the perks for the 3 different consoles. Series S, best bang for buck. Series X, most powerful. PS5, best controller and best exclusives. I just literally save you guys watching hours and hours of other YouTubers out there trying to explain what console to buy. All right, so coming over here, this ties in with the new graphical fidelity that they're going to be using. I thought this was literally a picture of like a game studio or something. This is actual animated in-game engine. God, I hate these stupid pop-up ads. This is actually in-game. I thought this was a real photograph, which is awesome. And this entire article here, again, linked in the description below, talks about a series of studio updates or upgrades focused on providing detail and basically increasing, shaders, textures, stuff like that. How developers are aiming for hyper-realistic graphical fidelity. So again, tying right in with these developers getting better dev kits, which in turn create a better final product that consumers, gamers, actually get to play. So Resident Evil will have a May 7 release for all of you Resident Evil fans out there. I personally wasn't a huge fan of the last few Resident Evil titles. The controls really bugged me. It felt like it was not a modern title. It felt like I was playing an 8 to 10-year-old title. Like the movements didn't really feel very fluid. I don't know. Maybe it adds to the intensity of the fact that you can't turn around quickly or you can't vault over a fence because you feel like you're going to get your ankles gnawed off. I don't know what they were thinking there. So this lady right here with the pale bosoms is smiling because she knows that there's going to be a pretty soon release of the game, and she's quite excited. I don't know what's going on here with Sister of the Darkness here. She's a lady of the night, boys. Not the good kind. All right, so that is going to be coming out in the near future, and they are going to have a multiplayer, which is pretty cool, with a 4 to 6 player deathmatch, so like a free-for-all Resident Evil multiplayer. That could be fun, right? They are also going back to first person, so I don't know if this is locked at first person or if you can switch between third and first or what. But it also has a crafting system, and blocking is now a regular part of combat, so they're making some little tweaks and changes behind the scenes. Again, if you are a diehard Resident Evil fan, go ahead and click this link in the description and you'll be able to read up the rest of the article. IGN, or International Gamer Network, you might have heard of them, /upcoming/games. I really don't trust IGN or GameSpot or any of the major game journalists anymore for game reviews since the whole Last of Us 2 debacle, and even before then, they've been really cheesing AAA titles and stuff. I know it's a little off topic, but this is pretty much my only use for like IGN and GameSpot is like looking at fact set in stone release dates and stuff like that. Anyway, these are upcoming Xbox One titles here. Blah, blah, blah. A new Yakuza. But if you come over here to filter, you can go just Series S and X games. Hitman 3 just dropped 3 days ago on the 20th. And I'm going to make a separate video about that because apparently there are multiple scenes where you're running at 48 frames per second. Again, like the premise of this video, a lot of these developers are going to be pushing the hardware a lot better, utilizing what's inside the Series S and X better, because that's unacceptable. The Xbox One X, not Series X, the One X and the PS4 Pro, in some titles were hitting 60 frames per second. So the fact that we're backsliding here with the new gen consoles, that's not good. This also just came out on the 21st. I didn't even know they were coming out with a new Ride game, but I will say I have Ride 2 on my PS4 and I have Ride 3 on my Xbox Series S, and I like them. It's literally like Gran Turismo or Forza, but for motorcycles. So for somebody that's into bikes in real life and you want like there's a fucking helicopter driving by. I swear to God, for ruining my YouTube video, I hope there's legit a reason. I hope there's, somebody, there's a crackhead on the loose that's breaking into windows and snapping ankles or something. They need to have like a dedicated no-fly zone around the perimeter around my house. I'm just gonna go ahead and contact the FFA and let them know that this is a no-fly zone due to YouTube content. It's much more important than keeping the airways open. And then we have the Medium. This is probably the one that out of these three I think is the most exciting. As it is just on Xbox and PC, so I guess you could deem it a Microsoft exclusive. Comes out on January 28th. This is kind of an IPO, or like an original game. The gameplay style is kind of unlike what we've seen exclusively on Series S and X and PC, so if that is true, This isn't on Xbox One. That's good. This is probably one of the first titles we've seen that isn't held back by previous generation hardware. They can just develop solely for the Series S and X. And granted, the Series S will hold it back a little bit, but it's still closer to the Series X. As the same, SSD, smaller capacity, obviously, but like the same lightning fast SSD, the same new architecture with the CPU in there. So yeah, I think this would be a pretty interesting title. In fact, I might pick it up for the Series S just to give it a little taste. Give it a little taste and see what it's all about. All right, that is going to do it for now, guys. I want to make this video short, sweet, and to the point. I didn't want to beat around the bush. I just wanted to get right in there with the news, guys. And I'll see you in the next video. If you like this video, shove a thumb where the sun don't shine. Go ahead and give a Dutch rudder to that subscribe button over there. It's the big red one. And the notification bell, she's cute, but she gets neglected a lot. So go ahead and give a quick finger pop to that as well. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace. Finger guns.